Friends, before we get into the podcast today, I just want to put a trigger warning in here. We do talk about some heavy conversations, such as suicide, as well as violence. However, with today's guest, we really unpack a lot, especially when using comedy and other performance styles to help get through everyday life. So, just understand that today's episode does have some sensitive topics, and listener discretion be advised.
Welcome to the Tony Gebhardt Show. I'll be your host today, Tony Gebhardt.
Then his buddy who was with him thought it would be a good idea to attack the security guard, and then all hell breaks loose. Like, I'm on the opposite end of the, like, if you're facing the stage, this was happening more stage left, I was more on stage right. I'm just kind of calmly drinking my beer, and I'm waiting and just kind of see what's up, because I'm still kind of new to how this whole comedy club thing works.
Hello, my friends. It's the Tony Gebhardt Show, back again with a really cool guest. New friend of mine that I've been talking with these last few months. He's funny, he says stupid things, and he's from California, so you know he's going to have something interesting to say. Introducing Joshua Loya. Welcome to the studio, my friend.
You know, we start off the podcast with redundancy. You said I say stupid things and I'm from California.
Yeah, see, he gets it.
I mean, to be fair, in the most recent podcast as of this recording that was released that I was on, I make the comment that I feel more of a Californian than an American, so I figure I might as well alienate myself from 40% or more of the country by saying as much.
Dude, right on. Well, I live up in Oregon, man, so I feel that. I feel that a lot. Or I feel like Oregon is is what California wants to be, but it's too...
No, California never fucking wants to be, because you have Portland up there.
That's true.
You have Portland's cool, but Portland is what Oregon wishes they could be. They desperately want to be Californian, and they can't have surfers, so they have women with forests on their legs riding bicycles everywhere, throwing Antifa pamphlets at people.
Yes, exactly. And everyone has tattoos, of course.
Yeah, I do have a couple tattoos, actually.
Nice.
So,
I actually just got 2 new tattoos.
Nice.
Right on. I do. I have 3. And
I also like the professionalism. Always be eating on microphone, even.
I was late for lunch. Bro, I was late for lunch today. I've had so many appointments this morning. So I need to eat.
It's all good, dude. It's all good, dude. We don't need to perpetuate the stereotype that blind people eat all the time.
I'm telling you. Well, Josh, I know you're blind and visually impaired like many of our audience members.
Yes, indeed.
And you've been involved.
All of your guests are.
Yeah, but the majority, actually, we had our first sighted guest. So I was happy to break that little what do you want to call that routine? So but listen, man, you've been doing comedy for 8 years, getting involved in the funny business. I've been reading a lot of your Facebook posts and just getting to know you, and you're a genuine dude. You know, all funniness set aside, I feel like we can sit down and have a great conversation. But you know what I want to get into too, and we'll just let this kind of naturally flow as well. But you know what made you want to go into the comedy business? Because from what I understand, looking outward, right? Because I'm in the music business, but when I see comedy, I'm like, God, the comedy business is that's a hustle game.
Dude, it's so weird. It's so weird because yes, I've technically been doing comedy 8 years, but I've been way more consistent the last few. But you know, it's always that weird game of like, you have to be doing comedy enough for people to take you seriously. But if it's so weird. But yeah, comedy is a hustle for sure. I started comedy when so in 2016 I quit my job as a AT trainer and consultant and stuff. I was teaching at the Braille Institute in San Diego, and I had some little feathers in my cap, right? Like I did a lot with Apple accessibility at the time. I taught regional Apple staff how to use their own products. That's kind of cool to be able to say you taught Apple how to use the products they sell.
Yeah.
But I've gotten a little bit more technologically stupid in the last time, but
COVID
when
does that.
yeah, it happens. But in August of 2016, I quit my job. I had been doing judo for a few months. I've been doing martial arts for quite a few years before that, BJJ before that, and Kempo to really start out with any significance. And so I was thinking, I have a shot, like delusional that I am. I have this shot to go make it to the Paralympics in judo in 2020. And because I was at the jiu-jitsu gym where I was training, this is a long story. We'll get there.
No, no, please, no. We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Justin Flores, for anybody who knows judo or knows Ronda Rousey specifically, Justin Flores was a contemporary of Ronda Rousey. And when she started transitioning into MMA, Justin Flores was a huge, huge part of helping her to apply her judo to MMA. Obviously, Ronda is an amazing martial artist in her own right. So the connection is start doing judo. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I have one of the most amazing judo coaches ever. And at the moment, I had a free ride scholarship to this gym where I was training. So I'm like, well, heck yeah, let me do this. So I quit my job, trained like a ridiculous amount of time. And, I was going at it almost aggressively too hard, not so much smart about it. And as you would expect, combat sports have injuries. I tore my hamstring. I don't know where. And I woke up one day and I first I thought I just tweaked my knee or something. I woke up on a Saturday. I couldn't fucking walk.
Oh man.
I didn't know. I thought it was like my knee, because my jiu-jitsu coach, not Justin Flores, but my jiu-jitsu coach that I've been training with for a few years at that point, he had just recently had knee surgery. So I'm like thinking all the worst things, Yeah. And went to this is the longest version of this story I've ever told.
No. I can see you're insecure. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Shut the hell up.
I wake up and I have to use the handrail because I lived in an upstairs apartment and walking down, what the heck? I'm like delusional about this. I go into urgent care. You could have torn your meniscus, blah, 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 blah. They hadn't done any imaging or anything, but they're like giving me the worst case scenario. Turns out I only tore my hamstring. I was able to get off of crutches within about a week and a half, but still, in order to be able to like make sure that it healed, I couldn't do any standing up in my martial arts training. I couldn't take falls, because the potential chaotic nature of the way I could fall could be bad. And so I could do mat work and everything, but I really liked the adrenaline that judo gave because it's much more fast paced than in many ways than jiu-jitsu is.
Do you still practice it today?
I don't do a lot of judo. I do incorporate judo into my jiu-jitsu. I'd like to get back, but I'm trying to find that balance. Right now, I am training consistently in BJJ, and I'm reintegrating some of my other practice. Like I did some Tai Chi for a while. I've been training off and on with that. I mostly, as far as practical applications, it's been jiu-jitsu, but I got my hands in a few things. But
pun intended.
I needed that adrenaline rush, right? And I was like, well, I can't do that. I know, I'll go do stand-up because that's at the time we didn't think violence until Will Smith ruined it for everybody. We didn't think violence was as likely as a result of telling a joke that offended somebody. So,
Hollywood's done. The world of Hollywood's over.
Well, we'll see. But so I go and I do stand up because this is dangerous, enough, right? And it was fine. My first guide dog didn't think very much of that because he walked off the stage after my first set, so that was fun.
Nice. Okay.
I say all this. The second time I did stand up was, for anybody listening who knows the San Diego comedy scene, this was at the previous Madhouse Comedy Club, not the current one on 4th, but there was another one at Hazard Center. There was a guy that was heckling everybody that night. It was good to get a crowd work in. Again, I'm second time in really doing stand-up for real, and I kid you not, a full-on barroom brawl broke out somewhere across the way. I had already gone up, and this this guy was like, just pretending to be from Australia. He turned out he was from San Diego, like a place called Mission Valley or whatever. But the last guy that was up reached out and this guy over here, he's pointing at him, like while he's holding the mic. Homeboy thinks it's a good idea to swipe at the microphone of the comedian, swipes the microphone out of his hand. Then I don't remember who it was that was on stage at the time, does a full-on Nirvana stage dive right onto the guy, like straight, like hand, like he's Superman or something. I got the details later. My wife was with me at the time. And they start going at it 20, 30 seconds, however long it was. They get broken up. I think everything's cool. Then his buddy who was with him thought it would be a good idea to attack the security guard. And then all hell breaks loose. Like I'm on the opposite end of it's like if you're facing the stage, this was happening more stage left. I was more on stage right. I'm just kind of calmly drinking my beer and I'm waiting, just kind of see what's up. Because I'm still kind of new to how this whole comedy club thing works. And just absolute chaos. I had been in bands and stuff before. So like I had been around, but I'd never been in a spot where everybody decided to go nuts. Like chairs were being thrown. It was wild. And Cameron Frost, the guy who was hosting that night, I'm leaving, and he shakes my hand. He's like, "Please come back. It's not usually like this." It's very steep. And those were my first 2 times doing stand up, and it was always there, and I was like, "Oh man, that is," and like it's kind of it's a stereotype, right? Like I live in Southern California. I got a big giant fuck off beard. I do jujitsu. I didn't as much at the time, but I'm very pro weed now. Pretty much a daily dude as far as that goes. And like here I am doing stand up. Okay, like if I change my name to Joe Rogan or fucked up. If I ever do ayahuasca, I'll change my name to Joe Rogan and get it over with. Like.
And then you just got to start the podcast.
Yeah, well, actually, I got to restart up the podcast actually. So
that's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had that going for a minute. I'm one of those guys who bought lots of gear back in the day and never learned how to use it. And,
oh man, I've met so many people who talk the talk and that they don't do squat about it.
Yeah. Thanks.
No, but you should. You should. No,
I actually am working with as of this recording. I'm Byron over at IC Music over
I
there?
do out in Chicago. Big shout out to Byron.
Yeah. No, big props. So we gotta, without getting too much into my business, I was able to garner some DOR support out here to do some training with IC Music. So
congratulations, man.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a production studio up in this business over here. So that's gonna, I've been wanting to get back to the music a little bit more, and might have had the emotional space to do it. But we'll get back to the podcast. We got all the things.
Yeah, no, congratulations on this. So do you know Kevin Reeves then?
Yeah, no, actually Kevin is who connected me to Byron and who connected me to you as well.
I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure that's how we know each other is through Kevin.
It is how we know each other, for sure. No, Kevin Reeves is a good dude.
He is. He was on the podcast last year. Yeah, he was last year. Yep.
Yeah, he was saying that I should get on here. It took us a year to get there, but that's okay.
That is okay. You're still here, and I won't fault you for that. Not right now, at least. Maybe after the recording, I will. So.
But yeah, stand up was it became like I was doing the podcast thing because I couldn't get out to the clubs. I didn't quite make enough headway in the scene. I was kind of stop start. And I was starting to get a little bit more consistent right going in. I did a comedy contest and then things shut down. So I did the podcast for a while, but I would say 2022 is when I went back to the stage, and I absolutely love it. Like I had some health stuff over the last couple of years and I couldn't really train. I couldn't, just had no energy. Like I had intestinal stuff going on, and
sure.
I had a moment where I was back at it enough where I was starting to get booked on shows and stuff because I was mostly just an open micer before the pandemic hit.
And then, and that's how it is sometimes. You got to put yourself out there. It's the same thing in the music business.
For sure.
You got to find as many open mic nights and many opportunities that you won't make a damn dime, but you're exposing yourself, right?
Sometimes you're buying drinks so that you get more stage time. Like that's a real thing that
exactly.
You don't usually have that in music. Sometimes you'll have the bring 50 people and maybe you'll get paid, but as far as the music thing, but like I had this moment though where I was like, man, because I really wanted to make a go of it, be a martial arts instructor, and that was my thing. I was thinking that maybe really was I having success with some of the athletic stuff I was doing, and I was getting real discouraged, but I had a show that went really well, and I made people laugh and I made people happy. And I was standing in the grocery store. We stopped off to get a snack on the way home, and I was talking to my wife, and I had this just overwhelming. Even if I can't do anything else physically, I can still do something that's hard that has the power to make me feel good, make other people feel good. And
Yes.
comedy was a very much a relief, a refuge. Still is. It's work. Don't get me wrong. It's work. It's anxiety
Oh yeah,
inducing.
yeah.
I'm afraid of rejection. That's why I got into
It's
comedy.
a hustle. Yeah, it's a hustle.
But it's nice to know that there's a way to still be me in a good way that's beneficial for like a ripple effect, if you will.
So I want to vibe with this so
Yeah.
hardcore, right? So last
Fortunately, my health
year,
is better, but
yeah, absolutely, and that's great. No, and I feel this so much. Last year was my biggest gigging year. I probably did 40 gigs, and this year is like a total opposite. I haven't played at all, right? And but when you get on stage, right, it's that first 10 minutes where you're scared half to death.
yeah.
You're in this anxiety zone. And then once people start really enjoying themselves, for me, it's like I'd have one drink, I have something to eat, and then I start playing, and I'm like, okay, let's get a couple good cover songs out of the way before I get into my originals, because half the time no one's going to give a shit about your original if they don't know you. And like once you really get into it and just captivate the audience, get them involved, show a personality, make fun of yourself, be humble. Don't be that guy, right, that takes yourself, like, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. In other
That's a
words,
really fine line because you with any kind of performance it's there, but like thinking about comedy, there are guys and who will go into comedy and they're right to take it seriously, but even more so, like obviously comedy is supposed to be jovial and everything, but you still have to take whatever performance art you're doing seriously without taking, because there are comics that I know that have been at it for less than a year, and they're hardworking people, but they're upset that they haven't made it. They're not like getting booked and stuff, and like people aren't wanting to give them stage time. And I'm like, dude, you've been at it for like 4 months.
yeah,
You say, you're a listen, like you got some jokes that are funny. Yeah, you got a lot of material, but 30 minutes that doesn't make people laugh isn't 30 minutes.
that's it. That's
And if
it.
you get upset when people I posted this thing recently. I did a roast battle a couple months ago at the comedy store in La Jolla. I'll be actually at the comedy store in LA in September, but
Ooh,
yeah, we're moving up.
that's a big
But
deal.
it is kind of a neat thing. You got these people though who think they're like the second coming of George Carlin and Don Rickles combined, like they had a love child or something, and they get offended at roast jokes. That I'm like, dude, you gotta just relax. Like there's a different rule for the comedy stage than there is in day-to-day life. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit pro wrestling. Yeah, there's also real life too. Like most of the jokes I talk about are all real things that happened to me, but you gotta just, it's hard to do it though. Like I get it. Like nobody goes into the performance arts on any level that's like super stable. Certainly not comedy. I mean, you know.
Performers are some of the most depressed people you'll ever meet, my friend.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, I was just having that conversation with Greg Maroney. He's a successful pianist that was on the podcast, and he's, one of the things that he said was, God, I reflect some of my best music is when I was going through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, I love Nirvana, and
Yeah.
I don't need to say anything else besides.
Sorry, Kurt Cobain. Oh, but dude, you've got my like interest peaked right now. Like Comedy Store in Los Angeles, like that's a milestone for comedians.
It's so weird because
that's a milestone.
I've only done comedy in 2 states. I've done comedy basically in San Diego area for the most part, and then I was in Hawaii for a surf contest. I'm like, all right, I'll do an open mic while I'm out here. But and it's so weird too, how you have to let the circumstances kind of shift for you, because and be willing to try new things. Because I'm not a roast, or wasn't a roast comic at all. That wasn't my thing. I would always talk about my stuff, just personal life. And I went on Clubhouse, which was an interesting experiment. And it got really toxic in many ways, but there was a lot of shit talking on there, and it got me to be even sharper than I am. And then I got invited by a buddy of mine, a local comic, very funny, Aaron Trahan here in San Diego, invited me to do a roast at the La Jolla Comedy Store, and just happened to do really, really well. And Pat Barker was one of the judges, and he was like, "You want to perform at the Comedy Store? Pick somebody." And so September 17th at the LA Comedy Store in the Belly Room, I will be roasting Ashley Amber, trans woman comedian. So you got who wants to roast a blind guy? There's no way you can win. Who wants to roast a trans woman? There's no way you can win. So let's put them together. So if you want to see a blind dude roast a trans woman, come see me perform, because I won't.
Oh, yes, exactly. I love it. And that's something I really just admire about you, bro. Because you inspire
my shamelessness in plugging my gigs.
Yeah, you egotistical fuck. No, just kidding. No, like you're down to earth. It's something that I've always appreciated about you.
Thank you.
I consider you a good friend.
Thank you.
And so everyone always tells me, Tony, you're so sappy and positive all the time. Well, good. That's because it's just the truth.
Well, you're just supposed to be like depressing constantly.
Am I supposed to be sad and like slit my wrists or something? Like, no, I've been down that road before. So, and yes, we say edgy things on this podcast.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing though. This is you're old school enough to know that I know that you did it in the goth or metal way, where you because these stupid emo kids, I guess we're seeing emo kids, they've been around for a while, like Gen Z doesn't even care about emo anymore. But
I know.
It was the joke, like, make sure you walk down the sidewalk, not across the street, to make sure you get it right.
Well,
we might want to put a trigger warning on the suicide talk in here. But
I was just about to say,
totally getting you demonetized. You put this up on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, I know. Well, and here's the thing. Something that I've always appreciated about just deconstructivism, and that's an interesting word. I've seen that word used a lot of times.
It's relevant. It's in religious talk for sure.
It is in a religious talk, but I think it's appropriate to use in the space of stigmatized conversations like mental health, because I'm a suicide survivor. I'll talk about that. And my podcast knows my story. So does the YouTube community. So it's nothing new to them, but I think it's important that we identify, and with comedy, I'm sure you can add something to this, is, in a lot of ways as performers, you have to learn and be comfortable with exposing yourself in a way that is healthy, so that you can, it's an outlet. For me, my music, like, I write a lot of angry music. I say some fucked up shit in my music, but when you talk to me and you get to know me as a person, I'm obviously not like that, but that's my outlet. So it's a healthy way for us to just say the shit that we're going through and learn how to laugh at it, or learn how to smile at it in such a way so that we don't end up, causing, the second Columbine or something really fucked up,
I kind of, this is a fucked up thought. And like, I hesitate even to say it because I don't want anybody to do it, but I just had this thought in my head of two blind people losing it and shooting up a braille and like a blind school.
Oh my God.
And they try to shoot up the students, but because they're blind, they're such miserable shots that they think they're killing everybody, and everybody's just very quietly sneaking away.
I feel like I have to edit this podcast. Oh, I might have to do an uncut version for a fucking
Patreon or something.
Patreon. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I forget because, like, I'm not famous enough to be canceled and have it be a bad thing.
Right.
Like, if I get canceled, that means I get, listen, I got like,
you need to get Dave Chappelle. This way you need to get Dave Chappelle. I have like maybe 1,300 followers on Instagram. It's not a lot, right? I mean, as compared with some people, right? But like, so if people were angry at me, I'd have more people coming to want to listen to what I had to say.
than really know who I am now. But here's the thing: is
Yeah.
just like if I say something really, really edgy, it's probably a joke.
Yeah.
In terms of the offensiveness of it, if there's a viewpoint, make sure you understand the viewpoint, because there's a great guy like Jimmy Carr. He's a British comedian. He does that ha ha ha. This is like a thing he does. But he made a statement once that I think is really true. That there's a difference between joking, really horrible things, and joking about really horrible things. Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to use the YouTube euphemisms because I think they're dumb as shit, but I'm going to use them just because I think they're funny. Like unaliving
Oh, yeah.
yourself. Like, you have to like, oh, it's like, but that, or things that rhyme with grape, right? Like weird lanes of thing in corn. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's right. That's okay, right? Some of that can get really gross, especially when it becomes exploitive on the corn. Exploitive corn, that usually is what I think of Doritos. But but the point is that there's a difference between that stuff really happening to someone, right? Like you and I are both have attempted to unalive ourselves, right? And
Right.
that's a shitty thing. Like there's nothing good about that.
No.
But I talked about this more recently. It's kind of this cool idea that I like to think of, and I probably stole it from somewhere, of emotional alchemy. Right? You go through some dark stuff. If you can talk about it and you can make jokes about it, then it doesn't mean that the bad thing didn't happen. You're not pretending that it's okay.
Right.
You're actually, if anything, you're calling it out more directly. Like in the Civil War, right? Like bad situation, 9/11, bad situation. I made this comment, and again, I'll probably get canceled. It's okay. I asked this question sometimes: how much time needs to pass before 9/11 reenactments are considered not as offensive as Civil War reenactments?
That is true.
But if you really unpack it, right, Civil War reenactments are almost kind of, like, so let's think about this. The roles would be certainly more culturally diverse, right? There'd be more representation between that. The roles for African Americans would be considerably less problematic than at the time of the Civil War. So,
well, I mean, the first 9/11 movie came out in 2006. So what was it? World Trade Center. Yeah. World Trade Center came out in 2006. So there you go. So, I mean,
Jesus, I'm thinking like, I'm glad you're okay with whatever conversation, because if we did this live, you would be getting so much hate right now.
I would. Well, and I'll throw a disclaimer in the beginning of the episode, but just again, if you're still listening to this episode, again, a part of it is just understanding that sometimes we just have to get these dark, sadistic ideas or morbidities and put them in a pot that can be analyzed, evaluated from a rational state of mind while still learning how to laugh. It's obviously, I think this is just where the fucked up part is instantaneously people's trigger warning, people instantly get triggered. So they're going to get offended. And sometimes get offended when it doesn't even affect them or anybody that they know, because suddenly they're a social justice warrior. Don't get me fucking started on that.
I had people once, I have a joke about the Bud Light fiasco, whatever, and just the weird cultural thing that was. And I mentioned Ashley Amber. I'm roasting her in September, but she hosted a lot of the mics that I first started doing. And I told the Bud Light joke a couple years ago, whenever it was, and there were a lot of young 20-something college students in the audience.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I told the joke, and she, like, they waited. They're like, I heard that, ha ha, and then she's laughing her balls off, and they go, oh, it's the trans person's laughing. It's okay to laugh now. It's like, if anybody was like, they were getting offended for her.
Mm-hmm.
but she wasn't offended. If anything, she was laughing the hardest out of anybody in the audience.
Sure. And it might be a different story if she got offended herself, but
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
If she came to me after the show later and like, hey Josh, I know you're trying your best. That was a little bit inaccurate, and that was kind of fucked up. And maybe you might want to consider changing. 100%, I would hear, but I'm going to listen to her a whole lot more than I'm going to listen to somebody who's just offended because it's edgy.
Oh, absolutely.
Go fuck yourself.
And so I recently came out of the closet. I'm gay, and when it comes to gay jokes, I think they're fantastic.
I thought your spouse was a woman.
She well, we recently got divorced. That I've been keeping. Yeah, don't worry, that's public news.
Wait, is this a bit?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good.
It's something that I there's a lot of open micers that'll do the hack game.
No, you're good. You're solid. No, long story short, yeah, my things between my wife and I just weren't working out. And I wish her all the best because she's gonna go do great things. But no, I recently came out of the closet and
well, fuck yeah, congrats, man.
Oh, thank you. And something that I've really come to love so much is gay jokes. I love them. Like, bring on the LGBT jokes. I mean, of course, I'm not going to speak for transgender. I'm not going to speak for lesbians or queens or anything like that. But, at the end of the day, if you can make an accurate sounding joke that's hilarious, I'm going to laugh at it. I'm going to be like, yes, queen, like, bring it on. And I think part of that is just learning to be okay to laugh at yourself, because I think the reason why so many people get offended, especially in the LGBT community, we are a sensitive group of people.
Although with understandable reason, right? Like this, I mean, freaking Stonewall riots and Harvey Milk. There's a lot of stuff just in not too far long ago, and even still, like, you got people getting beat up just because they weren't a dress. That shit happens.
It is, and it's fucked up. I mean, we're lucky that we have federal legalized same-sex marriage, right? And that was almost 10 years ago. So, is it 10 years ago or is it longer?
No. I'm saying for now.
Yeah, for now, right? So, but yeah. But
I get it though. Like I don't get all the ins and outs of that whole situation for you. But I do.
I mean, I'm definitely going in. So
sure, I don't know if you're talking about them. But like something else that's going on with me recently is that, like, I'm still in the process of it. Like I've been going through testing for ADHD and autism. I don't know for sure if I'm autistic, still kind of figure that out myself. I definitely have some autistic traits, but it's a throwaway joke. But I have a thing where I talk about that and I say, I always thought I had difficulty looking people in the eye for other reasons, and it's like, and here's the reality, right? Like, there are a lot of autistic people that can look you in the eye without difficulty. It doesn't always manifest that way. I understand that most people who are aware, but it's kind of the shorthand. But I'm not making fun of anybody but the situation. I'm not even making fun of myself. And I think sometimes, like, being able to laugh at the weirdness of it, like, some gay jokes are funny. Some gay jokes are stupid. Some blind jokes are funny. The reason I'm not laughing is because I've heard them before. I feel like I'm oppressing the gay man of the podcast because I don't finish.
Get the fuck out of here. No, and I'm with you 100%. There's certain jokes that we've all heard before, and there's a plethora of material that is out there that can be used,
and you can do a remix too. I mean,
right? Yeah. Oh God, hold on, I gotta sneeze. All right, it went away. So, like, to me, when you've been going through so much in life, I feel like a lot of the time, sometimes too, the people that get most offended are the ones who, and this is my opinion, right? But like, I believe,
theory, I want to see if I'm right.
Yeah, right. I believe that a lot of the time, the people that get most offended are the ones who haven't been truly hurt, and have experienced true persecution, or maybe have been victimized by circumstance, or have attempted to unalive themselves, right? Or just gone through the shitter, and who've come out on the other side renewed, reborn, brought into a new light of resiliency.
Okay.
That's how I look at this, because there's two ways that you can come out of a tragedy. There's only two ways. I look at it very black and white. It's either you go forward or you stay in place because you're too insecure and stubborn to accept the fact that life changes. That's it.
For sure. Okay, I can follow that. I think I'll yes and to appease my improv friends out there. I think that's true. I'll expand it out though. I don't think that the suffering one experiences, the adversity one experiences, to kind of give them a little bit of like resiliency, has to be trauma that was something that they didn't choose, right? Like obviously I didn't choose to be blind. I didn't choose to, be the victim of abuse and all the different things and whatever, we can go through
Sure.
this, who had a harder life thing.
Right. Because it's not a competition.
But the other
Yeah.
thing though, I do think that people who've gone out of their way to do hard shit and have worked through the struggle, that there is a certain aspect of that doesn't always, but can be the thing that helps keep somebody from being so I'm not really sure what the word is that we're both, maybe you have a word for it, like naive,
Uptight.
Uptight, maybe, that if you do something hard, like really hard, where you have to dig deep, whether that's doing like marathon training or jujitsu or all the things that one could do. It doesn't have to always be physical, but doing something that challenges you, that's difficult and scary. I think that changes the way you engage with the world in a way that I think is actually better, because life isn't always easy. But I don't think you have to have been addicted to corn. I'm gonna stop with the fucking euphemisms. I don't think you have to be like gone through like a cycle of addiction to like you're a compulsive masturbator to the point where you're having real consequences or something like that, in order for you to understand suffering.
That's true.
And in a way that doesn't go, hey, maybe I should realize that I should just listen to somebody else before I make an assumption about what's uncomfortable for them. I think you're onto something. I think
I love
don't
that.
think that only people who've been through shit that they didn't choose can have that. I think you can go out of your way. All right, you really want to go through the shit. All right, how about this? We'll take you out into the surf, and oh, by the way, you're gonna get sucked 300 yards south of the competition zone and feel like you're gonna die trying to get back into shore. Like that kind of stuff will change you. That will change you in a different way. Sometimes you need to decompress from it, but yeah.
I love where you're going with this, because I think too, right? And I'll validate 100% that it comes down to the patience that we're willing to have to endure perspective. Because I think especially in America, and possibly more so outside of this country, but speaking more so about our culture and society, we're built on individualism. A lot of I statements, a lot of me, a lot of fashion about what it means to be expressive, building a platform, doing this. And I think that can cause an unintentional sense of just hysteria, that we're in our own little world sometimes. So when we see others suffering, we may not register it as empathetically as we should or could if we just take a step back and, as you said, listen, or be able to ask questions and learn about, well, okay, so so and so is transgender, what does that feel like? What does that emotionally feel like to be judged in a position like that, where You were born
and a lot of
as
people can't get themselves out of their own head. They think it's all fake anyway. They can't even conceive of the possibility that this is real to this person regardless, right?
right. Absolutely. Wow. This has been a great podcast, man.
Yeah, I don't have a I can talk for hours and all kinds of
Dude,
stuff. So.
same. I mean, we've about reached our limit-ish. I wouldn't even say limit, like, but I think we've reached a really good threshold, just on so much. But listen, man, where can people find the comedy so that they can come support you?
For sure. I would say that the two fastest ways. I do have a website. I'm still kind of sorting out maybe it's the ADHD thing as far as organizing it. It's there. So if you can go to joshuathejedi.com, that's not a nickname that I gave myself, but it's one that was given to me. So joshuathejedi.com. Search for me on Facebook and Instagram. I know Instagram's not like a real blind friendly thing, but it's a good way to send me a message. But I usually post if I'm doing a show or a mic or something on my stories at the least, and usually a post. And I do have a concert calendar thing on my site. Just got to start using it.
All right, on. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you ready?
Go.
I want you to roast me. Go.
Tony Gebert. What can I say about Tony Gebert? Wow. It's part of it. It's really easy to roast people that have something interesting about them, but I'm at a loss, Tony, because I mean, you're so boring. I would say that Tony is the type of man that likes to survive the wild. It's surviving the wild to walk into his restroom without contracting a fatal disease. So you got to get a housekeeper in there, man, take care of some of that stuff. I don't know. That was quick.
I honestly, I'll take it. And actually, that's so funny. I did the one chip challenge on the YouTube channel not too long ago.
I was hurting. I was hurting because I've gone through, like, I had to really cut out spicy food for a while because I had like an excess of stomach acid. And I actually was watching when you did that, and I was like, God damn it, I want to try it, but I can't do it because I'm not a wimp here. But if I do that, I'll have to go to the hospital again.
Yeah, dude, it was bad, man. Oh,
how long were you hurting afterwards?
Well, so here's the thing. I ate the whole
milk
thing.
And stuff too, right?
I did. I ate the whole thing. I drank some milk. Mouth was on fire. Probably the worst heat pain I've ever felt. I mean, you think ghost pepper sauce or Carolina Reaper sauce is hot? Jesus Christ. This stuff lasted for an hour. And let alone, I puked my guts out because I couldn't stomach it anymore. It was probably from all that milk I fucking drank too. And I shit the devil's bricks. Literally, it was the hottest poop I think I've ever taken in my life.
You know what? Maybe I think I might do is even if I don't need it anymore, if I ever do hot ones, I would love to be on that show someday.
Oh man!
I'll take a dose of omeprazole about a half an hour before, so I got the extra coating for my inner linings. And then
yeah, exactly. Oh man, what a show too, man! What a show. That's a fun show.
Maybe someday.
Yeah. Well, all right. September 17th. Any of the listeners out in Los Angeles, go check them out at the Comedy Store. Joshua Loya, or otherwise known as Joshua the Jedi, because we all know he likes to play with his lightsaber. Thank you. This is a terrible joke. See, this is why I can't do comedy. I could do voice acting and music and maybe a little bit of podcasting, but I don't know if I could do comedy. So
we'll meet in the middle.
Okay. Sounds good to me. All right. Well, thank you again, Josh, for being on the show. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Listening to today's episode, I just really quick want to promote my acoustic album, The Winter Tapes, which is available on Bandcamp, tonygebhard.bandcamp.com. And you'll be able to find that record up there for just $7. Please go buy that album, check it out, listen to it. It should be available on Spotify this summer. But I had spent a lot of fun time putting together this acoustic record, and I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys in the next episode.